What about Kansas? I remain once again underwhelmed with the work that Kansas did in the portal, right? Like getting some of these guys back mattered. And I do think that Trey Wright and Melvin Counselor are two guys that in theory are really nice fits. But I look at what Duke did when they were building a roster around Cooper Flagg, where, they got some really good freshmen, obviously, but they went out and got a bunch of guys in the portal that were just role players that could go out there and do a job. And I don't know if that's necessarily what Kansas has done, but like Jaden Dawson's a shooter, Trey White's a shooter. How are you going to make this all work with those three guys, with Darren Peterson? You got to have Flory on the floor. You got to have DeJuan Harris. I'm sorry, not DeJuan Harris. But you got to have Darren Peterson on the floor. Like how is this all going to work with what Bill Self has put together in Lawrence?
This is a team that I think for sure isn't done. They can't be done. I know they're in on Dame Sarr from Barcelona, which would be a really good add on the wing. But you look at Darren Peterson. Like Darren Peterson, I think is could be the freshman of the year in college basketball. And I say that not a hot take whatsoever.
No,
but all these freshmen, you still need. I mean, look at the teams that were really freshman dependent last year with Rutgers. I mean, even Illinois to a degree with some of these guys that were projected lottery picks. It's hard to win if you don't have an insulation around those guys to help them kind of get through. And Peterson's peaks and valleys throughout a season, his valleys aren't going to be as low as a normal freshman's valleys, but that floor is raised when you have a really, really good crop of guys around him. And I think, we obviously got as an Illinois grad, I got a really close-up look of Trey White. I mean, he's a guy that in the right role can be really impactful. And he's a great offensive rebounder. He gives you second chance opportunities. He takes on the challenge defensively. He's willing to play fast, all those things. You mentioned Dawson being able to shoot at Council, I think is a good pickup. I think, and I don't know if they're in the Williams sweepstakes. They should be, because I think that's when you look at this at this roster. I mean, that's a pickup that would make sense. And then Badunga, I think it's gonna be very clear now what the role is for him in that front court. Last year it was just kind of you're in, you're out, you're with Hunter, you're not with Hunter. I think he's going to have a little more certainty, and I think he'll be a little bit more effective that way. So again, they kind of fall in the Iowa State category to me, where I don't think they definitely haven't done enough to this point to compete for the title. But I definitely don't think they're done. There's no chance that they're done. Say this. And then like Bill Self coming off of last year, there's no way Bill Self isn't like we're shutting everybody the hell up this year. There's no way he's not thinking that.
Yeah, I'll say this about Darian Williams, right? If I am his agent and I'm looking at a program like Kansas, right, it's Kansas. They have to have some kind of money. There's money lying around somewhere with the money they're paying Bill Self. They got something under some couch cushions somewhere, right? Darian Williams is not going to be a first-round pick to me. He's going to be a guy that is a second round at best, like a top 45-ish kind of pick. If he ends up being a late first-round pick, it's because all of the guys that are better NBA prospects than him decided to come back to school. And I think that he's worth $3.5 million in this market to Kansas. Because if you put him at the 4, he's a guy that can score in the post. He's a guy that can pass. He's a guy that can make threes. He is everything. And I'm saying this as one of the biggest KJ Adams fans on the planet, right? He's everything that KJ Adams wasn't. And having a guy like that alongside Darren Peterson, where he already was kind of like the secondary guy, right, last season to who was the kid that they brought in from Grand Canyon, right? And he already was a secondary guy to JT Toppin, who was like very similar to what Floyd Badunga is like in the ideal role that he's played. Like if I'm looking at Darian Williams and I'm saying that's the addition that I got. If I'm Kansas, that's who I'm trying to get. And if I am Darian Williams' agent, I'm going to Kansas and I'm saying $4 million and he's yours, with the idea that like maybe it's 3.2 that you can get, something along those lines, right? Like that's,
and he's
in an ideal. And if he's there, if Darian Williams ends up at Kansas, then we're having a real conversation about Kansas in the like Houston, Texas Tech tier. And I don't think that that's a hot take or an exaggeration.
I think he's the exact ilk of Kansas kind of big wing that they've had over the years. I mean, he's not the athlete of like a Wayne Selden or, Svi or Agbaji or any of those guys, but Kansas is one with big wings that can step out, that can shoot it. That's been the formula, and I think this would be the year for them to get back to that.